Hi, I'm Amber, and I'm going to be talking about self-portraits produced by women artists. What I'd like to explore is how these women present their identity as female artists in the societies which they belong to. I'd like to ask whether women artists have a different set of concerns about constructing their identity through their self-portraits in comparison to their male counterparts. This is the earliest self-portrait of a female artist that I could find in the collection. It's Angelica Kaufmann, and it was painted between 1770 to 1775. What's really significant about this painting is how Angelica paints herself with the tools of her trade. As you can see, she's got her panel and she's got a brush, so she's closely aligning her identity as a woman artist. So unlike some of the other portraits in this gallery, you can see it's painted with a kind of feminine touch, and she's got quite soft, gentle gestures as well. In her talk, Andrea pointed out that Angelica's wearing quite classical dress. One of the reasons why that might be is because as a painter, she painted history paintings, so the dress that she wears is similar to the dresses that she was painting. Her self-portrait is almost like a calling card. It has a professional function to advertise herself as a painter. I asked Andrea whether she felt that as a woman artist, Angelica might have had specific concerns about how she portrayed her identity, and this is what she said.
This is a great corner. I mean, if you look at these guys who are wealthy and successful, this kind of conversation piece here, really the contrast is extraordinary. They're almost deigning to look at you, aren't you, privileged that they might consider painting us. Kaufmann, in a sort of very female way, you know, those sort of gestures that you get if you're looking in at particularly sort of Renaissance printmaking and so on, which are about supplication, encouragement. As I said, it's a very sort of soft gesture. I mean, if you compare up here, you've got somebody, you can really see their knuckles. She's using a language that she expects her clients to understand, and to understand that softening almost of the iconography that she's brought in here.
During Brab's talk, I was really struck by Gwen John's self-portrait, which was painted in 1900. I think it's a really strong representation of womanhood. She comes across as a very powerful, assertive figure, which I like. But I also feel like she's adopting quite a masculine persona, and especially having her hand on the hip. That's a motif that we've also seen from some male self-portraits. So again, I asked Rab whether he felt that Gwen might have had some different concerns when she was painting her self-portrait, and this is what he said.
This is a time when female artists were excluded from the life class in art establishments. It was recognised that they could produce still lifes and be artists, but there was not the same encouragement to be a serious artist inquiring into society, the world, your place in it. That sort of is apparent in this portrait, that she's having to be very forceful.
So similarly to Angelica, I feel that Gwen wanted to portray herself as a credible female artist, but perhaps she was more interested in being considered an equal to men, so kind of maybe moving away from the very feminine presentation of womanhood that we see in Angelica's self-portrait. I think that that is really communicated in the portrait through her pose and through the clothes she chooses to wear. She's completely covered up, and they are pretty earthy tones, and I think overall this is quite a grounded and sensible self-portrait. So a real comparative piece to Gwen John's self-portrait is Helen Chadwick's 1986 Vanitas 2, which is a photograph. So in the title, Chadwick is referencing the Vanitas tradition in art history, which often featured a beautiful young nude woman. So in the photograph, I kind of see a parallel to the Rokeby Venus by Velasquez, which is a pretty famous work from art history, in Chadwick's use of the mirror and the kind of boudoir, very like feminine setting with its curtain drapery and feathers. I think what is different about Chadwick's photograph is that the traditionally passive female figure has been transformed into the active female artist and creator of the piece. This raises questions about the representation of women in the 20th century.